Showing my age.
You gotta put your shades on. Isn't that the guy in the chair?
Yeah.
Okay, so we are now live. And okay, got that going. So we'll go ahead and get going with the show. Any questions or anything before we get started, guys?
The show started and I'm not hitting buttons. It's very strange.
Yes, it can be confusing.
We switched over to StreamYard ourselves, and we're loving it. So
yeah, Jared turned me onto it.
It's a beaut. It's easy.
Yes,
Mike likes to play with the music.
Yeah, they just gave us background music, so I had it on last week.
So I haven't played with that yet. All
it's
right.
terrible. It's what you'd expect it to be. It's awful, but that's why I liked it.
Yeah.
Is this under the headcast? What is it under?
It's on YouTube. It's on both the G.I. Joe and the Headcast page.
Okay.
And then it's on both. And it should also be on Twitter.
There it is. G.I. Joe Real. There it is. Okay. Bravo team. All right.
Ranger Gord's on his work account.
Oops. Yeah, there he is. All right, I'm going to get started.
Trying to find the link to the announcement.
What's that?
Sorry, I was trying to find the link to the announcement.
Get started.
My hair's fluffy today. Trying to keep that down into one screen.
Yeah, I was having that problem earlier today, but
Then you took the wig off.
I took the wig off.
Yeah, I was having that problem, so I put a shirt on. But that's another story entirely.
Oh!
And welcome to Bravo Team. I am your host, Aaron Moss, aka General Head. And this is the show, if you're just now joining us for the first time, where we talk about, anything not really related to the original cartoon and comic book. That's handled over on my main show, G.I. Joe, a Real American Headcast. But this is for everything else. Today started out as one thing. It kind of morphed into another thing. So this is going to be the G.I. Joe 40th anniversary special. And since I'm a little lazy and I don't want to do it myself, I've got a few special guests with me. Joining me, as usual, we have the one and only Kevin Reitzel, a.k.a. Raider Nerd.
Hey, glad to be back, guys. Excited.
Kevin, thanks for having me. Us. And if you guys out there watching on YouTube, you may see a couple of other faces. One we've seen recently on, in fact, the last episode of Bravo Team, where we talked about the Snake Eyes origin movie. We have joining us Articulated Chad, otherwise known as Boy Guy Chad.
That's me.
Thank you very much
thank you, Mike,
for joining us.
Thanks for having me back.
Man. And also, first time on the show, we've got a guy from another podcast out there that I think he knows something about G.I. Joe. We have Mike from What's on Joe's Mind.
It's What's on Joe Mind.
Joe Mind, I'm sorry.
Joe Mind. You can't ruin my pun, man. We've
sorry,
bad pun going for like 11 years.
And I come along and ruin it.
Right? No, everybody does. There we go.
There we go.
Hey.
But thank you. It's a great pleasure to be here. As I said at the beginning of the show, it's kind of weird to not be hitting buttons. Like I'm edgy right now. Well, it'll go away, but
your hands want to do something.
I need to. I'm just going to hit the space bar a lot.
And join us over in the chat. We have.
That's better.
Over in the chat, we have joining us Sean Odell and Ranger Gore, because I'm not going to try to pronounce his work account. So, gentlemen, thank you for joining us very much. Anyone else in the chat, feel free to say hi. So, again, we're here to talk. The main thing we're here to talk about is, Hasbro had an announcement today. Their Hasbro Pulse 40th anniversary, I think they called it, where they talk about the new releases they've got coming up. So we're here to talk about that. And I ran off and left my notes in the front room.
Oh,
So luckily, I've got someone was kind enough to send me pictures of it. Again, thank you very much, there, Chad. So I can go off of that. So again, I had a link on my Facebook on the GI Joe Facebook page that Hasbro was having a new announcement today. So we're just going to go over and talk a little bit about the toys they announced and our thoughts on it. We'll start off that. But before we get going, Mike, it's the first time on the show. How long have you been into Joe, and what got you into GI Joe?
oh goodness. I mean, if you want to go back the first time around, I was 7 in 1982, so I was squarely in their bullseye when they launched this thing. I didn't stand a chance.
It's like Mike and I are in the same age range there.
Yeah, it's 46 is where I'm at, and so I didn't stand a chance, and I hung with it through 87, 88, long enough to pass the baton to my younger brother, and then got back into it when I was in college, around 95 or so. I started buying stuff on eBay, which is terrifying to think about. That the second phase of collecting is now almost 30 years old on its own. Because anyways, that's a long time. But yeah, and again, we've been doing What's on Joe Mind. It'll be 11 years in April, so I'm no stranger to sitting behind a microphone and yakking about it.
Congratulations on 11 years.
Almost. Thank you.
Almost. Close enough.
Okay.
Again, I work for the government, so it's close enough for government work. So we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about the figures that were released. I'll go through in the order that I have them here. The first figure they announced, and again, I was working when they were doing this and my boss had a meeting right at the exact same time. So I'm watching on my phone as I'm talking to my boss. And luckily, Mr. Chad made some notes for us too. So the first figure up was these are classified figures, was Zorana. There's a new Zorana classified figure coming out. I sent these pictures to Kevin, so he had them. And I'm assuming Mike saw them also. So,
oh yeah,
thoughts on these? Let's start with Chad. Chad, what are your thoughts on the Zorana figure?
She looks good. You can see that they're still kind of moving away from that Series 1, Series 2 classified aesthetic, and they're kind of sticking in what just came out in that last wave with Storm Shadow and Spirit and them, where they're modifying a little bit, but trying to really anchor down on the real American hero aesthetic. So, I mean, she looks good. I really thought the head sculpt looked good. I like how they got the color separation in her hair. So
right.
I think they did a good job.
And Mike, what are your thoughts on the Zorana figure?
Oh, love it. I've been waiting for more Dreadnought representation. So I'm thrilled to see her. I'm glad they did modify that her shirt a little bit. They turned into kind of a leather jacket, a cut off leather jacket, which I like. It makes sense. It's easier to put in figure form and not draw the ire of parents. And but it looks great. She's right off of an 80s metal album cover.
Yeah, pretty much. And speaking of 80s metal, the guy that knows something about hair metal bands from the 80s, Kevin.
Oh yeah. She's definitely not a groupie. She's like probably either the lead singer or the guitarist. I could definitely see her in one of those bands. She looks like she's ready to kick some ass with a bunch of those girls that knew how to rock. Probably could have toured with Joan Jett probably too, the way I'm looking at this. But the thing that really jumps out at me, and I hope that they don't change it for when they do the mass production, is that nice scowling look that she has on her face. Like as soon as you finish done talking, you're dead type of look, That's what really jumped out, and the eyes too. But like Chad said, I'm loving the hair, the way the hair is done there. It looks great.
So what do you guys think about them doing with originally she had some sort of like a mohawk type thing, and they've kind of changed it here. What do you guys think about the changes of the hair?
I don't. It doesn't bother me too much. It looks more like what she was looking like on the old Sunbow cartoon, and that's I think how most folks remember her anyway,
Right.
or more folks remember her. So it's not too crazy. It's different from the original figure, sure, but
Right.
it's not like it's some brand new representation.
Yeah, she's more in the vein of the Sunbow animated series and the animated movie. Hey, Kevin, to kind of go off of what you were saying, and Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. Zorana was designed after Wendy O. Williams, was she not?
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
There you go. Yeah.
The plasmatics, and she was known for sort of wild stage antics.
Yes.
And for the things she did not wear.
Yeah.
I'll be right.
I just remember reading somewhere that she was modeled after Wendy O. Williams.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Yeah, and personally, I like this figure. I like the change of the hair. It actually, it makes more sense because that mohawk thing she had was a little odd looking, I thought, on the figure. So yeah, I think this looks a little more natural. And yeah, like Kevin said, I love her face, that scowl. All these that we're going over the first batch is just digital renders. It's not the final product, so it may
product may vary.
Like so that stalker.
It's like Kevin said. I'm hoping they don't change the face because that's a very Zorana. Leave me alone, or you may eat your own testicles.
Business.
So let's move on to the next figure. Unless anyone has anything else they want to say about Zorana.
Next.
A lot of ground to cover.
Yep. Oh yeah. The next figure they showed us was a classified Dusty. I'll make my comments real quick on this. This is one I'm definitely going to pick up. A big fan of Dusty, both from the cartoon and the comics. So I love his look. I love the fact that he's named after Ron Rudat. Am I pronouncing that right?
Yep.
Yes.
The guy that helped create a lot of the images for G.I. Joe back in the day. I think it's a great figure. Mike, what are your thoughts on Dusty?
Yeah, he's fantastic. We've been waiting 40 years almost for this version of Dusty to have a removable helmet, and that was the one thing that they said about him, and that was when my brain blissed out right there because we can finally take the helmet off of Dusty. Apparently, the goggles are going to come off of the helmet too, and he can wear those, in addition. So it just looks like it's going to be a lot of fun.
Very nice. I was in my meeting at that point, so I saw the figure, but I didn't hear him talk about the helmet coming off. So that's great to hear. I love that. Hear that. And is that still a cloth bit hanging down behind his helmet, or did they mention that?
I don't think that it's going to be cloth here. I think that is going to be a plastic piece.
Yeah, they didn't mention anything about soft goods on that figure.
Okay. Kevin, thoughts on the classified Dusty figure?
The classic look just updated a little bit more practical, and I think it's great. Dusty was always a great figure, and I think they did a really good job with the camo design, tribute to the original one. I like the sheath for the knife on the boot like that. Curious to see. I just hope they give him his classic weapon, because we all know that classic weapon that Dusty came with, the rifle. Forgetting the name of
Famous.
it. Thank you. Famous. Yeah. I remember when I remember when I was playing like early versions of Call of Duty in Modern Warfare, and I would get to play that guy like, oh, the Dusty gun. So I hope they get something true to that, because he was the only one that carried that. And it was just, and I've seen some cosplay of my fellow finest members do that, and they would they've like gone to 3D printing that weapon to make sure that it looked like the FAMAS. So yeah,
very nice. And Chad, do you have thoughts on the classified Dusty?
So first of all, we got Simple Tricks and Nonsense in the comments, so that's pretty cool that they decided to come. I would just kind of have to say exactly what everybody else said. Like, he looks good. It's good that the helmet's removable, the goggles. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, cool. They gave him like really good cuffs on the sleeves. And I just kept hearing like, just think of me as your hero. So he looks good. It's a good looking figure.
And over in the chat, Simple Tricks and Nonsense made a comment. He said, do you feel they course corrected too much? Like the first figures were 2 Fortnite, and now they're 6-inch 80s figures. That increased detail and 21st century look seems to have diminished. interesting thought. I personally like going back towards the more original looks myself, because again, that's what I grew up with. Do you guys have any thoughts on that, Chad?
Oh, I have tons of thoughts on that. So, do I think they course corrected a little too much? But when you look at action figures, and this is something that we discussed in that last Bravo Team live stream as well, like there's a lot of feeling that the G.I. Joe brand is trying to branch out, but then it pulls back really hard too. It's very reactionary. So,
Right.
when they came out with Wave 1 and Wave 2, and they've got like, gold asymmetrical armor, like obviously they have Nerf weapons, and then
I was gonna say the Nerf weapons.
Roadblock has that thing that looks like a freaking hair straightener or something out of Men in Black. And I appreciate the fact that they tried to do something new. Like a Real American Hero did something new that the original G.I. Joe, but there was the original G.I. Joe, then there was Adventure Team, and then, it just kept expanding. In the late 90s, you go from the Neon to Sergeant Savage, and then, you get the 25th, 30th, 50th anniversary, you get the movie figures, then you get classified. So G.I. Joe is always kind of changing a little bit here and there. Do I want to say they overcorrected? Sure. But these are $25 figures now. They're geared at people like us, who grew up with a Real American Hero. I think that they saw a lot of the negative backlash and they ran a complete 180 in the other direction. Do I think they probably could have met in the middle somewhere? Sure, on some figures, yeah. But I think on other figures, like if you took Duke from Wave 1 and you put Duke out now, like look at Gung Ho. Like the new retro Gung Ho that's coming out, he is perfect. Like Sunbow accurate Gung Ho. Where the other one looks like Chuck Liddell and somebody from Predator, smashed together. So I don't know. I just think that for some it could translate. For others, I think it might be a miss.
And that's something else I was going to bring up. I forgot the price point. Yeah, they've raised the prices up from $19.99 to $24.99 now for the regular figures.
And that's all Hasbro. That's across the board.
Yeah. Oh, is that across the board? Okay, then.
Yeah. Making
Mike.
up for all of the lost profits from the last year by just jacking up the prices on what we want to buy this year.
So, Mike, do you think they've overcorrected too much, or what are your thoughts on Hasbro's decisions here about their course correction?
I don't think it's an overcorrection. I think some course correction was necessary. I like the Wave 1 figures by and large, but there was a little too much gold going on. There were a little too many shin pads flying around there. It was very tiny kind of stuff that just didn't make sense. It was almost a Sigma 6 aesthetic, and that had its fans, sure, but not nearly as many as Real American Hero. Like I don't want to bash Sigma 6. It wasn't my cup of tea, but it was lots of folks' cup of tea. So I don't think it was an overcorrection. I think part of the appeal of G.I. Joe through the ages has been that it's maybe 20 minutes into the future, if you will, and they were maybe getting away from that a little bit. We were maybe going 40 minutes into the future, and we needed to just rein it in a little bit. Like Roadblock's weird weed cutter thing is too much. But we can't wait to get somebody on a jump jetpack, right?
Please.
But presentation is a lot of that. In that Roadblock's weapon in Wave 1 is presented as this big sci-fi laser, whereas the jump jetpack, which is completely unrealistic, absolutely pie in the sky fantasy, but it's presented as being just some built by the lowest bidder government job, kind of, I don't want to say piece of junk, but just real bare bones kind of equipment. Nothing special about it. Everybody gets one. Here you go. Welcome to G.I. Joe. Here's your jump jetpack, right? So I think the presentation of it means a lot. and they've figured out how to make that presentation fit into and into an aesthetic that people are more comfortable with.
See, hearing you talk, I want to join G.I. Joe just to give me the jetpack.
Right.
And Kevin, what are your thoughts on this whole conversation about Hasbro going from Nerf guns to more 80s looking stuff?
I believe day one that those jetpacks would work, and I still believe it. Okay, I'm just going to go there. But Mike has a great point, though. Aesthetically, I think they have corrected a little bit. Not overcorrected, but yeah, that roadblock gun was just not cool. I had friends looking on eBay for old Rambo toys. Yeah, he's holding up Flash there with the laser rifle. Trying to find a decent gun for
totally real. This guy, totally real.
Yeah, that's a thing. My roadblock took out the cannon in the ram. Says, "Sorry, breaker, the gun's mine," and you can pull that bad boy out. There's some other there was a lot of knee pads and stuff like that, or shin pads. I thought that was kind of funny, Mike, because I agree with you. But nothing too bad. I had to kind of double look at that Destro though, the Pimp Destro. And then I'm like, okay, that's like the Dragon Con version of Destro's armor. He's gonna go to the party with that thing, and he's gonna really kind of show it. Maybe that's a board meeting outfit. I don't know, but I like that we're getting a little more grounded look in the stuff, and I think that's good. They pay attention to that type of stuff.
Oh yeah, yes. I'm not a big fan of the Pimp Daddy Destro myself. I didn't like it when G.I. Joe, again, I was getting out of by that point because I'd graduated high school and was in college and moving out and stuff. So when they started doing the Echo Warriors and the Tiger Force and the Python and all that.
It's important that if you're going to put a character out, try to make sure that the parts that are iconic about that 80s G.I. Joe somehow is reflected a little bit, if not obvious. That's why I like the Major Blood. I thought the Major Blood did a really good job of showing that, including the rockets on his backpack and all that kind of stuff, including the Zartan as well. That's why I'm hoping that the Dusty gets that FAMAS gun, just like Mike showed the Flash there. I hope he gets that cool kind of laser gun,
Oh yeah,
because I was believing that was a laser gun. Yeah. Yeah.
He's a laser trooper.
I mean,
if anyone's going to have a laser gun, why not be G.I. Joe, the Special Mission Force guys? Not the Army. Not even Air Force. Air Force, no, they got to wait. Give it to G.I. Joe.
G.I. Joe is the first line of defense.
Exactly. If they're going to have just 40 minutes in the future tech, they're the first ones going to get it.
Exactly.
And that's always been the theme with G.I. Joe, is that, like Mike was saying, that future forward, as it's called, even the Mobat tank. The Mobat in the comics was always it just looks like an Abrams tank, but it's not, right? It's just that little bit of future forward where it's that much of a leg up because they are the Special Mission Force.
And it was able to go underneath the water in the comic book and have an extra loud, PA system that sounded like it could have been a real gun. I bought it.
Yeah.
I still buy it.
That comic was my first exposure to this brand.
Nice.
Number 5, right there.
Yeah, I first read that in the little digest books.
I think that was the first issue too that I joined your headcast, the number 5.
I think so.
Yeah, that was good times.
Yes, oh yes. And Simple Tricks responded back that he agreed that it's fascinating. The pendulum swing was certainly noticeable. He's enjoying the more real world weapons and some of the aesthetics now.
Yeah.
And I'll be posting pictures of these later on the Facebook group. I just didn't get time from the time I got off work, got home, got things set up here to repost these. So I'll be posting these later for those that want to look at them.
In the 80s and 90s, we thought the future was going to be big laser cannons. And it turned out that here in 2022, they're still making futuristic weapons that shoot bullets. So it's just that's the aesthetic we want. If it's future forward, 20 minutes from now, they're probably still mostly shooting bullets.
Yeah. I'll see it back in the 80s. We thought by this time we'd have flying cars and
yeah,
placing shoes.
Blade Runner.
we're trying to get people not eat Tide Pods and wash your hands. So.
I think the Jetsons was supposed to take place in the year 2010, right? So
You know what it was? I think we missed
that's
Mark
like
on
throw in Stanley Kubrick's 2001, and you're like, get out of here.
And Eric says it still could be. Don't kill my dream.
don't stop believing, Eric.
Wants that jump back.
And moving on to the next figure, we have the classified Crimson Guard. I think it's your turn, Kevin. What are your thoughts on the classified Crimson Guard?
Not disappointed in this rendering at all. This is your classic Crimson Guard, and this is one of those, like, I'm sure they sat down and going, okay, guys, don't mess this one up. I got a lot of friends in the finest that have this Crimson Guard outfit, and I think they did a good job. There's a couple little things they did to it, but it looks sharp. I'm very happy with this one. Although, wait a minute, hold on. This one's left-handed. Go figure. All right.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I've always liked the Viper's always been the coolest costume to me, with the CG being a very close second. Yeah. I've always liked the look of the CG uniform, the full helmets. It's just, and this figure.
Or is this one Fred? I can't tell.
It doesn't say.
If the helmet came off, it's a Fred.
Yeah, well, I guess if it's removable helmet, we'll find out. But I don't know if it's a Fred series or just a regular Crimson Guardsman.
Wonder if it's the kind that shoots commanders in the back. We'll find out.
Watch your back, Kevin. In case you haven't paid attention to Kevin, he's got a great Cobra Commander disguise outfit he wears for his cosplays.
Incognito.
That's the proper word. Sorry. One of many great outfits that he's posted pictures of.
One of my favorites.
I love all the costumes you've posted, but that's probably my favorite.
Yeah.
And Chad, what do you think about the Crimson Guard classified figure?
I think they nailed him. He does look really good. Like the ceremonial kind of outfit that he's wearing is very like the Cobra version of dress blues, that we have in the military. I thought they did a really good job rendering that figure. And they spent a lot of time talking about how the little dragon emblem, like they redid it. So it looks better in 6-inch. But it's a good looking figure. I also didn't catch that he was left-handed. But yeah.
And Mike, you have thoughts on the Crimson Guard?
He wasn't broke, and they didn't try to fix him. More power to them.
Amen. Yeah, no, this is definitely another one that's a must-buy for me. Dusty and Niz are two of the must-buy. I saw these. I'm like, oh my god, I must have this. Yeah, like you guys have said, it's a great look. It's very true to the original figure. On the picture I'm looking at, the face looks a little dark. The helmet looks a little darker, the lower part, but I think it's fine. It looks fantastic. I can't wait to get this one. And over in the chat, we have Simple Tricks Nonsense. He was saying there are a bunch of jetpacks, rocket-powered wingsuits, and other personal flying rigs. $500,000 for them. So
we'll shake out the couch.
What your couch contains. Moving on to the next figure.
I'm afraid of what that couch contains.
I hear you. I've got kids and animals. So I definitely hear you on that. Also, they showed us another Viper, a Python Patrol Viper. I'll get some brief thoughts. Like I said earlier, I enjoy the Viper. It's one of the great costumes. I don't care for the variants. I'm not a huge fan of the Python Patrol and the way this looks. So I'll probably end up maybe getting it at some point, but it's not higher on my list. I prefer the regular Viper look myself. But again, that's me. It's like Mike was saying earlier, it's not my cup of tea, but you know what? Some people really enjoy it. Chad, the Python Patrol Viper. Do you have thoughts on that?
So it's actually not a Viper. That's either an officer or a trooper. And I think it's a trooper.
Oh, okay. I was thinking I don't get it. If I left my notes.
Like Emily said, she said it was a Viper.
Okay.
Obviously just a misspeak, but the Python Patrol Viper they showed in January? No, they
Yeah.
showed that in October.
Yeah.
They
Okay,
showed that in
I think
October when they first revealed the Python Patrol and Tiger Force with
Right.
the Outback figure. So this is actually that more lime green gray. So it's either a trooper or an officer.
You're right.
I thought they nailed it. The colors, go right back to the old Python Patrol 3 3/4. I never was a Python Patrol guy. I got out of Joe, before the Deke series came out and all of that, when the sub teams just got crazy, when everything was sub teams. So I don't have a problem with the figure, but it doesn't grab me like a Crimson Guard does.
Right.
It's just like, oh, okay, hey, cool. They did a good job on it. Moving on.
Yeah. See, in my area, after the 5-part, after the movie, they did the 5-part. I forget the name of it.
Operation Dragonfire.
Yes, Operation Dragonfire, where they introduced the Python Patrol. That's the only one I ever got. I never did see the Deke series here. So I picked them up on DVD. I'm going to watch them at some point. At this point, since we're reviewing it for the regular show, I'll probably wait till we get to that point and actually watch them fresh. But we'll see. But I did see the Python Patrol in the comic. So, Mike, your thoughts on the Python Patrol Cobra Trooper? Apparently,
A lot like Kevin. I think they did it well. But I'm not doing backflips over him. I'm kind of hit or miss on Python Patrol. I think like the Viper is a great figure. I think Copperhead was neat. And then on the other side of the coin, you have stuff like the Python Crimson Guard back in the day, who was one of the ugliest figures from the whole line. So, Python Patrol in my book hit about 500. But again, this is great for what it is. I'm probably not picking up a ton of them, but it's very well done. It's pretty. It looks like it's pretty faithful to the original.
and Kevin, Python Patrol, yay or nay?
I'm with Chad. I'm not I got out of Joe before, then I got back into it. But the whole neon team genre and like the subs and stuff like that, not a fan of the Python Patrol. This one looks pretty cool though, like a more updated version. But I'll probably pass.
So it looks like it's a hard pass on all those for this one. I mean, again, I may eventually get it at some point if I have extra money, but yeah, it's nowhere near the top of the list. In fact, out of the ones we've seen so far, this is probably my least favorite.
I'll grab one because he's kind of ugly, but I'm
Every ugly figure needs a home,
right.
Yeah, this is true.
Again, Python Patrol, the Viper's great. The old officer, or I get the one. It was the trooper, and then they called it the officer, whereas this one was the officer, and then it's the trooper. But the old one, the one that was the repainted Cobra Trooper, was great. Copperhead was great, and then the other ones I could kind of pass, take or leave, kind of. So this I'll pick one up just because he's green and lime colored, and
yeah. I mean, if it was more like this guy, okay. I mean that's a Python figure. I mean, I'd go with that, but
Right. But yeah, I hear you. Next up is another variant, I guess, Recondo for the Tiger Force. Mike, what are your thoughts on the Tiger Force figure?
I love it. I Tiger Force Recondo is one of my favorites from that section back in the day. Even like he came out a little after I was done, so I never had him. I actually just picked up Tiger Force Recondo a couple of months ago. I found a deal for him online, and so I just got that figure for the first time, and now going to get to have one of the big ones, and I think he's great. You can't do too much Recondo. I think Kevin's feeling that too. Recondo is one of the great characters of from GI Joe, one of the great looks from GI Joe. Get him in as often as you can.
Yeah. So we're recording this live stream on the 24th. I'll probably be releasing it as long as nothing comes up on the 3rd of March, the actual 40th anniversary. So for those that are listening to this on the Bravo team, that's actually not watching it live, as we're talking about Recondo shows up on my screen. Mr. Recondo hat and takes up his weapon. He's ready to go. And real quick, before I go to Kevin, a couple thoughts from the chat. Gord says that the timing may be off today to release any October Guard figures. I wouldn't mind seeing some October Guard figures. I like them. And then Eric commented on, I believe this was on the Python Patrol Viper, said that, or sorry, the Python Patrol Cobra Officer, whatever it is. They don't get them for the completionist, but you can't make them like it. And then Gord comes back and says, I'm always a stickler for a guy in a broad brimmed hat. So, Recondo himself, what do you think about your figure?
This was the one I was most excited about, and I've always been a Recondo fan, and with the GI Joe Finest, there's a bunch of us that are like, let's do some Tiger Force costumes, and I was never a big fan of Tiger Force when it first came out, but over the last like 5 or 6 years, I've kind of caved because I've seen some great costumes done, and they're ridiculous, but they're fun. And there was a Joe Con exclusive for a Tiger Force Recondo that looked a little more less cartoony, and I based my costume on that. This one here, I just have an issue with the color, with the pants, the bright yellow covered up with the green and stuff. The one that I got was more of kind of like a desert type of looking type of camo with it. And also, too, the figure came with this weapon here that I have, which is called the Hungamunga, is its nickname. And I'm hoping that this figure comes with something similar, because the original one that I based the costume off of, that exclusive, had a cool like looking sniper rifle, or like a 50 caliber style, that had the wrapping around it as well, like the original Recondo's weapon did. And so I'm hoping they do a similar thing to this, even though I'm not a fan of the pants on this one, I guess, and the way it was done. I still love Recondo. I love that he's got the mustache. I love the hat, and I'm a big fan of it. The only person I remember seeing this use on screen, by the way, was Buffy. She used this in the first season, the Hungamunga. So hopefully we'll see Recondo return with it.
The Hungamunga.
There was something close to that came with the red ninja, wasn't there?
I think so. Yes. Yeah.
Kind of close.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm not a huge fan of the offshoots, the little brands they have, whatever, like the Tiger Force, the Python Patrol, and all that. But I'm not quite fond of the yellow. But otherwise, yeah, this is a great figure. This is one that if I have the money, I'm definitely going to get this one. Again,
that's too bad, Aaron, because they were all saying that they really liked you.
Very often. Most people don't. So
they were getting. I heard before the show, they were all like, that Aaron's all right, and here you are just busting them down.
That's what I do. But no, this is a good figure. Like Kevin said, I mean, Recondo's always been a good looking figure. We gotta love that mustache. Gotta love his hat.
I always felt like he was one of the next to Stalker. He was one of the other survivalists.
Yes.
One of the original guys. There's a few guys that you want to go into a jungle with, and it's definitely Stalker, Snake Eyes, and Recondo.
Yes. Yeah. No, if you have to go in the jungle, that's your team to go with. Yes.
Yeah.
100%. As we find out in the books we're currently talking about on the GI Joe Real American
Beachhead
show, Recondo's carrying his own weight in the jungle, and then some. And then I think that was everybody on Recondo. I don't think I missed anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You're good.
Move on to Tiger Force Bazooka. I could be off, but I think, Kevin, this is your turn. What do you think about the Tiger Force Bazooka?
Yeah, okay, I guess. My thing is, if you're gonna go Tiger Force, you got to go all the way. You don't just put on Tiger Force pants and then walk into a battle thing with wearing an old like Patriots jersey. I like the idea, but that's what makes him Bazooka, is that jersey that he has.
Yes.
Bazooka is just one of those guys you don't bring into the Tiger Force. That's just my opinion. So
Bazooka is there to make things explode. He does not need to be camouflaged.
Yeah, exactly. Make things go boom.
When he's not blowing things up, he's driving tanks. Whatever. Put your jersey on.
I prefer. I'll be honest with you. I love the top half, not the bottom half. I'll just say that.
Can't fault you on that. Chad, what are your thoughts on the Tiger Force bazooka?
You skipped me on Recondo, by the way.
Oh, did I?
Yeah, that's okay. I don't care.
You had your chance.
I did.
You got to pipe up. I'm forgetful, and so I try to do some sort of order, but
You had your
I think
chance.
I did have my chance. Just skip me then, because Mike's giving me shit. So
Okay,
the only thing that I would have to skip me. The only thing I would have to say is I'm cool with the Tiger Force stuff, but give me something before the sub team.
Mm-hmm.
Like we got a Viper before we got a Python Patrol Viper. Yeah, they showed the Python Patrol bat first, but the original bat came out first. Like I don't have beef with the Python Patrol. I don't have beef with Prophet Director Destro, but we got the other Destro first. Like,
right.
Just give me Recondo. Give me Jungle Warfare Recondo, and I'm cool. Like, give me sub teams later.
Yeah.
That's it. Other than that, they look fine. They look like they jumped right out of the 80s and got upsized. But
Mike. Oh, sorry about that, Chad. Were you saying something else?
That's it. I don't want sub teams first.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that. Mike, bazooka.
You should skip Mike. Skip Mike. Skip
okay.
Mike.
So Kevin, thoughts on? Oh, wait a minute.
You can't skip me. I'm important.
Yeah, you are.
But I was thrilled by both of these, by Recondo and Bazooka, because back last August we got a hold of a leaked list of what was coming in the first half of 2022, and rather famously, and we got a lot of praise and we took a lot of heat, both. But these were the first two that didn't appear on that list. And again, that list was only for the first half of 2022. So it's entirely possible that they were just for the second half. But I like being surprised again. So I was thrilled. I was doing handstands with Recondo and Bazooka, Tiger Force or no Tiger Force. I mean, I guess the only surprise that it ruins is we know that they've got Recondo and Bazooka ready to go, fired up for somewhere down the line. It doesn't bother me so long as they happen. It'll only bother me if they get, like, if the classified line gets canceled somewhere between now and then, which I don't think is going to happen. But it's something of a hit. So whatever, 3 years from now when I've got them all on my shelf, I'm not going to care what order they came out in. So I was thrilled. Love it. Bring me more. Bring me more.
And as I said, I'm not a huge fan of the spin-offs and all that. The other, like Chad was saying, give me the regular figures first, and then, because we got so many characters they can do, I'd rather see the original actual characters instead of the Python Patrol, the Jungle Tiger Force, all these other spin-offs. I'd rather see the original look. That being said, like I said, I'm not happy with the pants, because as you guys have said, I think Kevin said it first, or somebody, you don't pet Bazooka in a stealth position, and that's kind of what the Tiger Force is. It's kind of, they're trying to be sneaky and sneak around. The guy carries a bazooka for a reason. His name's Bazooka for a reason. You don't send him in to crawl around and sneak into places. He's the guy you send. I got that big door I need to knock down. Bazooka, take care of that for me. Having said that, I really love Bazooka, so I will probably end up getting this one sooner than later. Because even though the pants are kind of a miss for me, the rest of it looks awesome. So, big fan of Bazooka, and we'll probably end up getting this figure. Anyone else I can skip? I mean, let's go and move on to the next one. And I'm going to mess up the name. Kamakura. Chad, what are your thoughts on this one?
Look at you going first.
Oh, look at me. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Aaron. Take that, Kevin.
Okay. And Mike, what are your... Oh, sorry.
No, hey, stop. Cut it out. I was a little blown away by Kamakura. I was like, okay, that's a little it's a little outside the box. I thought it was kind of cool that they did it. So I had no idea that figure was coming. You know, Mike, like you were talking about that leak list, I remember you guys talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. And I don't remember hearing this figure mentioned at all. Like it just came out of nowhere. So I was pleasantly surprised. He looks good. He's a good looking figure. I like that. You know, you can take the balaclava off his head and he's got an exposed head. He just looks good.
And
it's
Mike,
not a figure that I've ever done cartwheels over. Right. So, but I was just like, all right, cool, right on.
Oh yeah. And Mike, your thoughts on it?
Hey man, the kids love the ninjas.
Yeah, they do.
But I was pretty happy here too. I like that they're going into more than just 80s Real American Hero with Classified. I hope they do it a little bit more often. There are some characters that made something out of impression that didn't happen between 1982 and 1994, and Kamakura is one of them. I would have figured the first one they got to out of that initial run would have been Don Moreno, but Kamakura is not a bad first choice either. There are some others. There's Barrel Roll, and there's sniper guy, boonie hat. Can't think of his name.
Lowlight?
No,
he wears a beanie.
Yeah, fatigues.
Muskrat?
He was in Spy Troops.
Recoil?
I don't remember offhand.
Spy Troops.
Oh, I can't think.
You're going back.
Yeah. So, hey, 20th anniversary of Spy Troops this year. You got to get blessed.
Yeah.
But anyways, there's plenty of other characters there, and I'm glad we're getting some representation of it. This is a brand that's been around in this incarnation for 40 years, so we can pull for more than just a 10-year window.
Mm-hmm.
Thrilled.
Good. And Kevin?
I thought it was a pretty cool figure. I've kind of gotten past the different bright colors of ninjas that came out because it's just a thing, I guess, now with Joe. The removable mask though, and the changeable head I thought was kind of cool though. The face I was looking at going, that kind of looks like an angry Chris Penn, like post Footloose, but right before Reservoir Dogs. So.
I remember him from the comic, and like you said, it's they're bringing in other figures than what they had originally, and as I said, the line is so huge. There's so many figures they could choose from. It is nice seeing that they're choosing newer figures. I mean, he's been around 20 years, whatever, but it's nice that they're bringing in characters that wasn't in the original couple of years of the G.I. Joe. So, and like I say, I don't know if I'm going to rush out and buy this one, but it's very nice. Like I say, you guys have said the removable, the switchable head, the removable cowl. It's just all great. It's a great looking character.
The one I was thinking of is called Crosshair.
Crosshair.
Crosshair. Okay.
There you go.
So, all right.
Knew it the whole time.
Then you should have said something. That's it. Chad's out of here. Bye.
I believe him.
Do it.
He's wearing a What's on Joe Mind shirt. I believe him.
I frickin' am.
All right, I'll buy it too. What the heck?
He's got an ally.
Next up, I'm going to say I love this figure. Dr. Mindbender.
Yeah.
They've got a Dr. Mindbender figure. He's got the cape, and they didn't change him up like you might think. Well, we're going to have to change him up to make him more appealing to modern audience. No, this is the bare-chested, the groin-wearing, plate-wearing, monocle-wielding Dr. Mindbender. They changed
Dr. Codpiece.
Yep.
Yeah, they changed his cape from a cloth cape. They said it's going to be I forget how they described it, but it's going to look more like a leather cape. I'm okay with that. This is a great-looking figure. This is definitely one high on my list to get. I love Dr. Mindbender. The original in the comics, there was Dr. Venom. They got rid of Dr. Venom. Eventually, they brought in Mindbender because, you know what? A mad scientist in a lab coat? That's so yesterday. We need one bare-chested that used to be a dentist wearing a monocle.
with a monocle, ripped.
And with the
super ripped.
the big villain mustache.
Never fights anybody, but man, does he hit the gym.
He looks like he could fight somebody. But yes. Mike, what are your thoughts on Dr. Mindbender as a class?
One of the most iconic from the Sunbow era of G.I. Joe. And I don't think you could do a classified collection and consider it complete without him. So thrilled that they're finally getting him in there. Couldn't be happier. Again, wasn't on the list, didn't know he was coming. Feel good about it.
Pleasant surprise.
Absolutely. Late 2022 was gangbusters time. That's why they didn't leak it.
There you go. Kevin, Dr. Mindbender.
You know, I'm glad they have this figure because he's such an iconic character. I always questioned his style. And then I just stopped. What's that?
How dare you, sir?
And I'm looking at this new version going, okay, well, they nailed it. But now even more with the special harness, it just brings me right down to his codpiece. I just want to keep looking at his codpiece. I don't know why. He's got like a special thing that just holds it there, I guess. Okay, well, cool.
That's why you're looking at it. The straps that holds it up. It's like an arrow pointing right down to it.
Exactly.
Right here, ladies. This is the magic arrow.
You know what's holding it up. You know what's holding it up.
I guess. But he's got a little more updated, but he's got that classic look, and he's got the purple and the cape and everything. And I'm liking that the cape kind of is a thing that comes around the back of the head. I think looks pretty cool too. So yeah.
I can only imagine a good friend of our show, Brian Cummings, who was the voice of Dr. Mindbender. Can only imagine him thinking, saying hydraulic suspenders like Dr. Mindbender. It's going through my head. I'm getting all excited.
And let's go move on to the next one. Oh, Chad. I'm sorry, we almost purposely left you out. Dr. Mindbender, your thoughts on that one?
This is for Mike. Yeah, there he is. I loved him. I see him. No, I thought they nailed Mindbender, and they spent a good deal of time. Lenny especially was talking about how through the monocle that eye looks larger than the non-monocled eye, so it actually gives the effect that I think they frickin' nailed him. And I've always had a special place for the Arise Serpentor Arise 5-parter. I keep waiting for one of them to just drop a hint that Serpentor and his air chariot's coming. I know Serpentor, he's hit or miss with people, but Mindbender is just, I've always loved Dr. Mindbender. He's always had a special place in my heart. And, he's the chief interrogator, but all of a sudden, he's doing DNA shit, out of nowhere. And you're like, okay, whatever. Now he's splicing DNA, but he's an interrogator. I've always loved Mindbender. They nailed him.
Well, we've got Mindbender. How much longer before we get Serpentor in his air chariot? That's what I'm waiting on.
Yep. Deluxe figure waiting.
Again, I like the more realistic, in quotes, of G.I. Joe, but I love Serpentor. He's a great character.
I think those realism lines get a little looser with Cobra.
Yeah, very much so.
If you're going to have mad scientists, then they need to do some mad science, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if Joe was 20 minutes future forward, Cobra was always that 40 to 60 minutes, with Mars Industries and everything. But
is it like an hour ahead? And then they moved away from classified, and they went into the O-rings, which apparently is going to be a thing now. Last time they had the Snake Eyes. Storm Shadow 2-pack. Now, this time they have the Cobra Officer and Cobra Trooper 2-pack. So, Chad, what are your thoughts on the Cobra 2-pack?
I guess I'm trying to see where this resurgence is going to go. I actually only own like 5 or 6 O-ring figures. All of my collection is moderns. I know we talked about that previously.
Right.
So I have like all on my flag and a couple others that just come with the vehicles that I get. But
Right.
I'm not over the moon about the O-ring. I'm a little personally jaded that the modern constructions kind of they got half-assed, and then when it finally got some traction, then they kind of slapped it away to go back to the O-ring. I know a lot of people like them, so I don't want to like piss in their Cheerios about it. But I mean, they just look like 82 Cobra Officer and Cobra Trooper with not as shiny. That's all I got. I don't really care, honestly.
All right. And Mike, thoughts on the O-ring retro figures?
I mean, they're fine. I'll echo what Chad said, and it's I'm in a similar place with him on that. Like, I want to see if they're going to bring O-ring figures back, I'd rather see them try some new stuff. I get it. You need a Cobra Officer and you need a Cobra Trooper. I'm not criticizing that they're doing these figures over again, but it's going to be interesting what happens after this, because almost everything we've seen to this point is either a total redo or an easy repaint.
Right.
With the exception of Wayne Ruthel. That's pretty much what we've got at this point, because we're going to see Cobra Commander, and we're going to see Ace, and we're going to see Pilot Scarlet, which is just Ace with a scarlet head in the middle. We're going to see Duke, and so great, but I have these already, so I don't necessarily want to spend $21 a pop to get them again, only to have them lose that value once I take them out of the package, which I don't. I don't need stuff in the package anyway. What am I nuts? No. So I hope that they get into a little bit more different constructions or different motifs, or just maybe characters we didn't get the first time around, and not so much just straight redos.
Very nice. And Kevin, thoughts on the O-rings?
I'm kind of with consensus here. I'm glad they have them. I'm always a fan of the 3 3/4 inch, the O-rings, that size. That's that was my bread and butter back in the day. If these are sold as a 2-pack, I just find that weird, because if you're going to do some type of diorama or something like that, you don't want a 1-for-1 officer with a Cobra, But I kind of wish they would have actually made them look more like the pictures, have the silver gear and the silver guns and the silver masks. That would have been kind of cool to see what that looked like, though. But they're just your classic Cobra figures, and I think they did a good job. It's just more of the same.
And yeah, I think I like them a little better than you guys do, but. I mean, we just got the Cobra Officer and Cobra Trooper as the retro figures. And in my opinion, something I have complained about, I think $20 a piece is what they come out to be. I think it's a bit pricey for 3 1/4 inch, 4-inch figures.
I mean, the impression I get is that they're building them to last, right?
Right.
They've stepped up the quality on these, so okay. Like I'll spend $20 on these figures, but I need to see more than just straight reading.
Right.
Give me an Arctic Cobra Trooper, give me a Jungle Cobra Trooper, give me something Cobra Trooper somewhere down the line. But I'm not going to go crazy army building these guys. I mean, I've already got 12 Cobra Troopers from '83 as it is. I don't need 12 more from 2022. Not necessary. I'll get one, mostly for all the cool card art and stuff, but that's it.
Right on. Yeah, that's a very good point. Like I said, that's my main problem with them is that, like I said, I know they're supposed to be a little more durable, but I don't know if they're that much more durable than the regular ones. And I'm hoping that they eventually go back to the regular file cards, instead of what they have nowadays. Because right now it's just a little blurb in like a dozen different languages.
Right. Yeah.
They're not gonna. So Emily spent a good deal of time in the Q&A talking about that whole, what they call it, 5L, the 5 language. And she was saying how, like, somebody asked a question about file cards with classified figures. And she had mentioned how, like, on the retro modern construction and now the O-ring figures and the retro 6-inch, how they have to do the 5L or the 5 language, and that they may come out with like a QR code or something like that where you can scan it and then choose your language. But as far as like a hard stock file card, one language, that's gone.
Yeah, see, that's to me, that's kind of disappointing. I like the file cards with all the information on there. Yes, just like you're holding up there.
Yeah.
I prefer that much better than just the one line in 5 different languages. I understand they're trying to get a wider appeal, if you will. But, and one thing where's it at?
I don't think that they would argue with you. I don't think the folks at Hasbro are any different.
Right.
But no. If you have an opportunity to make one package for all of your international sales, you're going to do that and save the money.
Oh yeah.
You know, I get it. I'm hoping. I hope the money they save is going back into the future creations.
Right.
Jump jetpack.
Right. I mean, I need the jump jetpack. I need my standard issue jump jetpack.
I think we all do. But one thing I do like on the Snake Eyes when they released the 2-pack on the floor.
And not mint. Not mint.
No longer mint. It still looks fine. They did go back to G.I. Joe, a real American hero. I know in the retro line they got away from a real American hero, it was just G.I. Joe. But now it looks like they may be going back to that, which makes me happy. Because again, yes, people all over the world like G.I. Joe. But again, I'm doing a podcast on the original comic, which is G.I. Joe, a real American hero. So to me, that's part of who G.I. Joe is. So I know at the same time, back in the 80s, overseas, they had Action Force, which was kind of taking a lot of, their interpretation of it. And I'm fine with that. I enjoyed a lot of those stories. But yeah, for G.I. Joe, I prefer it to be a real American hero. And that's part of my problem with the file cards. I understand why they do it. But yeah, I'd rather see it be the longer file card, because again, it's a real American hero. But that's just me and being a stupid American. Before I skip, did I get everybody on the Cobra? I think I got everybody on the Cobra Troopers.
Mm-hmm.
And skip anybody. And then
he doesn't count. Just Chad.
Yeah.
Oh, did I skip Chad again?
No.
I was trying, Chad. I couldn't remember if I did or not.
That's cool.
And then at this point, they went back to the classified figures. They have a Cobra 3-pack. Kevin, your thoughts on the 3-pack of the Vipers?
I think that's a great idea. I love the idea. Hate the packaging, be honest with you. I want to see them inside their molded case. I want to see these things. I don't like the artist drawing rendition of it, even though you flip the thing over and then you see pictures of what they look like. Put them in some cool pose, like they've done with those big, larger packs of Joes in the past, What was the Cobra that was fighting all the G.I. Joe greenies?
Firefly.
Yeah, Firefly, something like that. I thought that was great. So I love the fact that you're going to get the Viper officer and the Vipers. Don't like the packaging.
And yeah, they're talking like that, and they may be going this way for all of their classified figures. They talk like they're going plastic. Yeah, they're going away from the plastic. So I think they're all going to be. They said they won't be just like this, but it's kind of what their line's going to be like.
It's like buying a food package and they just show a picture of the food outside instead of showing the little see-through thing and see what the food inside looks like. Yeah. I want to see what the food inside looks like. Come on.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, that's one of my big. I understand why they would want to go for getting rid of the plastic, but on the other hand, I want to see the figure.
Last I remember, plastic was recyclable. So come on.
There you go. And let me see. Next on my list is Chad. We're skipping him because I don't like his attitude. No, Chad. Sorry about that, Chad. I think
Oh,
I'm
hey,
I read
I'm
the
sorry.
joke.
What's up?
Chad, the Viper 3-pack classified figures. Do you have thoughts that you want to share with the class?
I was trying to figure the math and why is the price point $90 if they're
Yes.
$24 a figure, right? So I was trying to math that, and like smoke came out of my head, but whatever. And then when I pre-ordered it and I saw the release date, I was like, that is 13 months away. That's like a Kickstarter time frame.
Did you say the price was
So-
$90?
89.
Yeah, 80. Yeah,
Oh my God!
$89.99.
Wow.
$30 a
So, but now you get blast effects, so that's where you're shelling out that extra money.
Yeah.
I thought they were cool. I liked them when I saw the renders. I liked that officer. It kind of took the wind out of my sails because all the Vipers that I have in my office, I was like, I'm going to repaint one of those like that 50th anniversary 4-inch Viper. And then there it was, and I was like, well, screw it. I don't need to do that now. I like them. I think they're cool. I was happy to see that Hasbro's finally getting on board with the whole blast effects thing that Valaverse has been doing since Series 1 out of the gate. I kind of share Kevin's feel with the windowless, plastic-less packaging that they're going to go to. And the way Emily made it sound is that that's going to be kind of an across the board. But I did like the whole idea of now the figures are going to come with a little cardboard ammo crate. It's going to have like the figure number and the character name, and the accessories will be in there, because in that, right, aren't they like in a plastic bag in the bottom, Aaron?
Yeah.
It's like in a baggie?
Yeah, sure enough. Yeah. I've got them here somewhere. But
Well,
yeah,
I mean, I can see where they're trying to, okay, we know we're just going to stuff them in a cardboard box, but we're going to make them cool. Blue for Joe, red for Cobra. The figures, I think the figures are great.
I was just looking. Yeah, they were in a plastic bag. I already pulled them out of it. That's why.
Yeah.
I find the bag. Yeah.
No, I think the figures look great. I was not thrilled about the March 2023 release date. That kind of shocked me a little bit, but it's just kind of the way we're going these days.
Yeah. And Mike, your thoughts on the Viper 3-pack?
Yeah, that date was something else. I think that they're really just trying to plan ahead. They're trying to stay out in front of not having to announce delays. Like they'd rather have it show up a lot earlier than they expected than pick an earlier date and start having to make excuses for why it's not around. Because even though it's perfectly logical as to why stuff isn't getting to places exactly on the times we expect it to, it just doesn't stop people from complaining and clogging up their inboxes and what have you. So I get that to a certain extent. I would be shocked if it took a year for those things to get to, especially, I mean, it's the Viper. We've already seen the Viper a couple of times. Do they not know where the pieces are? No, they know where it all is. So
yeah, you're going to get your Sky Striker first.
Right. But the price point on that was a little weird for me, too. And you would think 3 figures, they're all the same. They're all repaints. They're all reissues. You'd figure that we would be getting better value on a multi-pack than worse. And sure, those blast effects are neat and they've got them packed out and stuff, but really $90? I mean, they'd have had me with no complaints at 75, right? If they were just 3 normal figures packed together, whatever, I'd be like, yeah, fine, no problem. But you're going to mark it up more past that? That threw me a little bit. So I got to think about that one. It's just, it doesn't, the value isn't there for me.
Yeah,
I already got a ton of Vipers. I don't need.
See, I don't have that many Vipers. As I said earlier, that's one of my favorite looks for the Cobra Troopers is the Viper. So I did pre-order through Big Bad Toy Store, because as me and Chad was talking about, when they made this announcement, I was at work. And then these went on sale at 10 o'clock Pacific Coast time, PST. I was over dealing with my units, And I realized, oh, it's 10 minutes after 10. I better jump on Hasbro Pulse and take a look and see what I can get. And yeah, they were already sold out.
Yeah, they were gone on Pulse.
Going through Big Bad Toy Store for the same price. Again, the same year delay. But I've put on pre-order. I'm still debating. I love the Vipers. I can't have enough Vipers in my opinion. But yeah, $30 a piece. That's a little pricey. And it kind of scares me, I guess, maybe. It makes me wonder if maybe that's the price point they're going for eventually for all the figures.
I have to ask this question, and the reason why I don't like this packaging is because part of the appeal of these classifieds is how they look when they're packaged and they're not opened. And I think that's a big selling point of being able to showcase them and what they look like. And that's why I was kind of hoping to see them in something. And that's why I'm not a fan of this new packaging. And I hope they reconsider it because now that you've told me this is $90, I'm out.
Yeah. I say just because they're Vipers, only reason I'm still hanging with it. But yeah, that's a little.
I'd rather get 3 Croc Masters. That's what I'd rather do. So,
but yeah, it's a little pricey. Yeah, like you guys, I don't care for the. Again, I understand why they're doing it, but I don't care for the plasticless packaging. Like Kevin and I think you guys have said, I like to see the figures I'm buying. I like to be able to display them as is, without having to pull them out of the box. I can if I want to, but yeah, I enjoy the be able to see the figure without pulling out of the box. So I've got a year to debate on that. I may end up canceling. I'm not quite sure yet. I'm on the fence on it, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to put one on pre-order. That way I don't lose it in case I do want it, but I've got a little time before I have to actually, pay for it. So
sure.
They were going that route with the retro vehicles toward the end of that Walmart exclusive modern retro line. They were going that way with those vehicles too, where the driver wasn't in a window. It was just a picture of the driver. And they had done that. They had done that with the earlier Joe runs too. But
yeah. Real quick from the chat, Simple Tricks Nonsense made a comment. Said 4 to 6 weeks for our mail away stuff felt like an eternity as a kid. Pre-ordering toys now feels the same way, only longer and more expensive. Amen.
Yeah. Wasn't it 6 to 8 weeks?
4 to 8. I've something I forget now.
That was an eternity.
I remember waiting forever for that hooded Cobra Commander. Forever.
Yep.
The next thing they showed us was not something you can buy, but it's for the those that ordered pre-ordered the Sky Striker. One of the groundsmen, I guess it is, Wayne Ruthel. They showed his file card. His code name is
Co-pilot.
It's a co-pilot.
Is the co-pilot? Okay.
Co-pilot. Mm-hmm.
A weapons systems officer. They actually gave him a file card, and what they showed us, you probably can't see it on my phone if you're looking. No, it's the full file card on this one, just like a classic look to the file card.
Yep.
Which I didn't order the Sky Striker because it's a little pricey for me. I think it's a good value with everything you're getting. I don't have $250 laying around just to spend on the Sky Striker. But if I had that kind of money, I definitely would have put in on it because that Sky Striker looked awesome, and especially with all the extra stuff you got with it, it was fantastic. But yeah, so they gave us the file card for his name's Failsafe, is his code name. Chad, your thoughts on Failsafe?
I think that's a very fitting code word for the F-14, the backseat driver. Failsafe's good. It's good. I was happy with it. A bunch of people have been kicking around a lot of possible code names, and nobody even came close to guessing that. But I really liked it. So, and I ordered 2 of them. Not like I need it. Not like I need it, but I ordered 2 of them.
Very nice.
I like it.
And Mike, what are your thoughts on Failsafe?
It feels like it fits right in with all the old file cards. So they took their time. They did it right. I like that he's a Navy aviator. They don't really have not a lot of Navy aviators on the team. I think it was just Keel Hall and he was retired. from that aspect of things. So yeah, I'm good with it, and I like the extra representation there.
And did you order one of the Sky Strikers?
Oh yeah.
Chad was saying, okay, right on. And Kevin, your thoughts on Failsafe?
I like the fact that he is that other figure that you're going to get for that. I didn't order that either. I couldn't afford it, but it looks like that's going to be a pretty cool set that when you get that. And if I remember correctly, Maverick was a naval aviator as well. I just hope that Failsafe is in better hands than Goose was.
Right.
That Maverick?
Yeah, there you go. I like that. Good custom, man. I like that.
And then they also talked about the 1 second. Try that again. They also brought in, I forget the guy's name, but they brought a G.I. Joe Transformers crossover. They've got there we are, Megatron mixed with a Hiss tank. So Megatron transforms into a Hiss tank, being driven by the beautiful Baroness. So, Mike, what are your thoughts on the Transformers G.I. Joe crossover that we got?
First off, pulled up Maverick's file card. First sentence: Maverick graduated at the top of his class from the Air Force Academy. So no.
Well, then he was lying to Kelly McGillis. I'm just saying.
Two different Mavericks, gentlemen.
Crossing the streams, man. What's going on?
This is the G.I. Joe show. It's a G.I. Joe program.
That's right. We're used to that from Kevin.
What's on Top Gun's mind? That's not a podcast? Okay.
It's
Sorry.
not a thing.
Lieutenant Pete Mitchell is more than G.I. Joe material.
Any minute, I'm expecting one from you now, Kevin. Because you don't have enough.
Yeah, it's true.
Right.
So, Mike, what are your thoughts on the Megatron Hiss tank and Baroness figure?
I'll be honest. I like it as a Hiss tank, and I mean it's great that they get the Baroness out there, but whatever. I like the idea. I didn't find the execution all that great. It kind of looks like Megatron with extra parts. Megatron with a cup holder with guns sticking out of it. It just I don't know. It leaves me a little flat.
And Kevin, your thoughts on Transformers G.I. Joe?
If anyone knows me well in my G.I. Joe fandom, I hate G.I. Joe and Transformers crossovers. They need to be in their own universe, separate adventures. I was not a fan when they first did it. Still not a fan now. I'll pass. Thank you.
Like chocolate and guacamole, two great tastes, best left far, far apart.
Exactly. You and I kind of feel like they threw in the Baroness because for those of us that are on the fence about that, or maybe even on the other side of the fence, going, what about those people that don't like the crossover? Throw in the Baroness.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I'm out. I'm out on this one. Sorry.
And yeah, I enjoyed the first G.I. Joe Transformer crossover they did back in 80, whatever it was. But the rest of them feel kind of flat to me. And yeah, I don't like, they've talked about before about crossing over G.I. Joe and Transformers, G.I. Joe and Mask, Visionaries, all these other brands they want to bring into one universe. And yeah, no, I prefer to keep them separate.
I could see Mask seeping in there with the G.I. Joe, but not Transformers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I like to keep them separate. Yeah, if any of them, I could see Mask coming into G.I. Joe because it's along the same lines. But
I don't need it.
Mask is like the private sector, but they still will come out, So.
Mask is a franchise that's got it's got 40 of its own characters. G.I. Joe as a franchise has 600 characters. Transformers has more than 600 characters at this point. Enough. I mean, you just as it is, there isn't enough face time for all of our favorites, right? Why do we want to dilute this even more?
Was there a price point on this out of curiosity?
$90 again.
$90.
Same price.
Definitely out. Definitely out.
Same price as the Vipers.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It was an easy pass. So I don't understand because with this they're gonna do more of these, and it's gonna be more of the characters that we've bought 100 times as Joes, and it's gonna be for folks who are Transformers fans, it's gonna be the characters they've bought a half dozen times. It's just
Chad, are you a fan of the crossovers, or do you prefer them separate?
So first of all, if you look here over my shoulder, you see that 1/18 scale mask rhino that I made? Right there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I'm a massive fan of the crossover shit, right? So I made a freaking Lieutenant Pete Mitchell. I got a freaking Snake Plissken right there. I have all of the Transformer crossover stuff. I got a custom Megatron Hiss tank. I went hard in the paint on this thing. I don't like it as the Megatron, like Mike was saying. So it's like Megatron, but he looks like he has one of those like the kids shopping cart that you get at Walmart that has like the freaking race car thing. It looks like he's wearing that shopping cart on his back. I don't want it for the Megatron because I have a masterpiece Megatron up here on the shelf. I want it because it's a Hiss tank variation. That's it. That's because I have like every kind of freaking Hiss tank and 30 custom Hiss tanks. I just wanted it for the Hiss tank. But
it's a great looking Hiss.
Yeah, they freaking sold me with that thing. I saw it and I was like, give me. So I bought 2 like that.
It is a great looking Hiss tank. It is a mediocre looking Megatron.
Exactly, and that's why I got it, because I'm like, oh, it looks like the Hiss tank, and it is scaled to the 83 Hiss tank, so it is proportionately scaled. I did like the fact that like Frank Welker did the voice for the intro of the toy. I thought that was super cool. Yes. I also like the fact that Takara actually designed the transforming mechanism. So it wasn't just like Hasbro did it themselves, which we know they could do it because with the Beast Wars stuff, like they figured that shit out after a while. But I like that Takara got involved. I like that Frank Welker did it. As soon as I heard Frank Welker's voice, I'm like, I knew what was coming. So, yeah, I friggin' dig it. I dig it. I go hard in the paint for the crossover stuff, and I'm not talking like ROM and Visionaries and shit, but like the stuff that could kind of fit, like that Unit E thing that they did with Mask. I dig it. I like it. I'm gonna be the voice of. I'm going against the grain on that.
And that's why this will be the last show you'll be on. No, I'm joking. I kid.
He's wearing a What's on Joe Mind shirt. You leave him alone.
Sorry.
I know how to play both sides of the fence, my man.
But yeah, no, I'm not a fan of the crossovers per se. The Hiss tank looks really nice. I love that big can they have on there. I love the fact that when he's in Megatron mode, that the Baroness can sit in the gunner spot, or whatever, right above his head. I do like that. Again, the $90.
I mean, does this like really piss people off? Does this like trigger you?
It doesn't trigger. I'm just not a fan of it.
Yeah.
I just
Really? Look at that.
It looks nice, man. Yeah. Oh, it's
Let me see your Pete Mitchell again. That was pretty cool.
Is that a euphemism for something, or? No,
I like that. That's a sharp custom. I like that one, man. Well done.
Very nice. There you go. There you go. He's looking at his crotch.
I'm trying to show you the damn helmet.
In fact,
there you go. That's cool.
Smarter, I could have pulled that full size.
I bought that whole Walmart set for that Top Gun Maverick just so I could take that guy's head and tear it off.
Well, I think it was on sale after 2 months of the film that never came out.
Hey, Snake Eyes got that treatment too. Remember, my man?
Yeah. There's a reason for it, but but yeah, no. Like I said, I kind of like the way it looks. Sort of. The Megatron's not as great, but yeah, like Kevin said, the $90 price point is just that's the bridge too far for me.
They know that they can charge whatever they want, and people will buy this shit.
Oh yeah, no, they
I
will.
mean, look, I went crazy for it.
I'd say, how many did you buy?
Yeah, Megatron is sold out on Pulse. So
Is it? Yep. See.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no, I've got mixed feelings. I'm not a fan of the crossover, but certain parts of that I really like. But yeah, the price point is the final nail in the coffin for me. Yeah, $90.
I have the Jetfire Sky Striker from a couple years ago, so it's not like I'm immune to this sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah, and the Hound Vamp.
Had it looked a little better, I might have thought twice about it, but I didn't like it.
Yeah. No, I hear you on that.
If I'm going to spend $90 on it, it's got to be a strong Hiss tank and a strong Megatron, and it was only one of those things. I have plenty of Hiss tanks. I don't need another one.
So that's all the stuff that's coming up in the future from Hasbro.
That's all.
All
of it.
They also showed the figures that are now out for release or for ordering. The Sergeant Stalker, which they announced on the last special they did.
That thing looks great.
Yeah.
What happened to his face though? Like his face looks like he aged like 20 years as soon as they put him to plastic. Just
I think the render was just very dark. Like I think that
is true.
In actual plastic, it's just everything's lightened up a little bit. So
yeah. They also showed the Tomax and Zaymont figures, and I guessed from the way they talked, they are individually.
Yep.
It's not a 2-pack.
Yep.
Again, I did pre-order both of them because again, I really like the twins.
So would the 2-pack have been $70 though? That's the question.
Probably.
When did we learn about their last names?
I think that's just something they're putting on there.
Well, no, they've had it in the comic. I'm trying to remember the first time. I know in the was it Devil's Due? One of those runs when they brought it back, I know they talked about their last name. I'm not sure if it was ever mentioned and I don't think it was in the original Larry Hama run. It was in one of the series that they brought afterwards, either Dreamwave or Dark Horse or maybe IDW, somewhere along the way.
Dreamwave was Transformers, so that
okay. Yeah, I know they went through a couple different companies, and one of them, I remember reading that they gave them a last name.
Devil's Due had it, and then IDW, and that's really been it.
Maybe it was Devil's Due that they
possibly. I mean, it's
been a while.
Yeah, it's one of those where it's been long enough that it sounds familiar, but I couldn't tell you where.
I'll have to ask.
It's like the Fiona thing. At some point, somebody drops it, and then it just becomes there. It is. You know.
Like if it's Tomax Paoli, it should have been Zaymont, whatever Paoli is backwards.
Elope.
Eloap. All I know. I live in Indianapolis. Paoli is a place that's not too far from here that people go down a really, really lame ski jump.
And during the show, they had a lot of other talk about other stuff. Oh, they also, they've also for pre-order is the Cobra Officer and Cobra Trooper 2-pack is out for order now also.
Yep.
Yeah, and then they showed the Wave 3 of the reaction figures too.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that some other time. I mean, what do you got? Brief thoughts on? I don't want to go in detail on this. We'll talk about that later. But the reaction wave, Chad, are you a fan of that?
I really like the card art. The selection. Well, the card art's beautiful. And I like the selection of the characters that they just choose to pull out of thin air. However, pause for dramatic effect. I do not like 5 POA on G.I. Joe. I don't. I don't care about the price point. $17, whatever. Money's not a barrier for entry for me. I just don't. G.I. Joe has always been about articulation, and that's what helped G.I. Joe stand aside or stand apart from Star Wars, back in the 80s.
Right.
I I don't like the 5 POA. I just can't do it.
Well, that was from Daddy Warbucks. Mike,
What the hell was that?
money's no object for me. I don't care about the money.
No, that's not what I meant. I just meant like, you know, $90 for a 3-pack. I'll pay $17 for a single figure.
Man, poor Chad's getting it on all sides today.
That's all right. That's
Jared's
all
not
good.
here, so someone's got to fill in.
Right. I'm not I think the market for those isn't so much G.I. Joe collectors, it's reaction collectors. I think reaction is its own thing. And G.I. Joe just happens to be a piece of that. I like that they're busting out characters. When they get to my very favorite characters, like if they do a Sunbow Flash, I'm absolutely buying Sunbow Flash. Like he was totally different than actual Flash. So I'm all for it. If they do Sunbow Beachhead, I'm in for Sunbow Beachhead. Sure I am. But I don't need to have the entire reaction line by any stretch. Because like Chad said, it's fun to look at, but it's not really a G.I. Joe. It's something themed like a G.I. Joe. It's the same to me as a pop of G.I. Joe. And I'm no pop fan, but I have my favorite characters from G.I. Joe and pops. So you know, like what you like.
Yeah. Like, I'm not a fan of the pops, even though I think I own almost all the G.I. Joe pops now, but that wasn't an intention. But
every time I see that Funko Battle Android Trooper, I walk by it and I pause and I really stare at it and I'm like, nah. And then I just like, I love Battle Android Troopers, but I just look at it and I wanna, but I don't pull the trigger.
That's one I still need to get. That's one of the ones I do not have yet. But
I have Beachhead and I have the old Cobra Commander. And I like the old Cobra Commander best because he doesn't have those huge dead eyes. Like, that's really what bothers me about Pops is those giant eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, I prefer the realistically, the actual action figure type looks. I don't care for the more kiddified things, and that's kind of where the pop falls to me. But like I said, as I say that, I've gotten most of the G.I. Joe ones now. So what do I know?
I don't have any pops. Like, this is the closest thing I have to, you know, I mean, but that's another crossover. So somebody's going to get mad at me, but I got that.
What is that from? What is that crossover?
It's a Joe Transformers.
Yeah, it's the Tom Scioli series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then I have the Megatron up there.
That was a head trip.
I'm not going to get mad, but I really like the Hooded Cobra Commander. So I like that one just because of that. And as we're sitting here talking, I'm watching, for those that, again, listening to this,
pulling them down,
the Bravo Team podcast, we're talking, Kevin's sitting there, we're talking about, we don't care for these. We don't like the too much, whatever it is. Kevin's pulling out his reaction figures.
Again, Kevin, if you like them, I'm not casting any aspersions on your character.
Oh,
I see I see all your points, and you know, Chad's right. I prefer articulation. However, I broke down and bought these because these are basically the cartoon versions, you know, and and I liked that idea of them going, okay, we're not going to give you full articulation because, you know, that's what you got for your comic versions and stuff like that. And I love the fact that you get the cartoon version of Major Blood and Duke, and you get that laser rifle too that Duke has and everyone else used. And my biggest disappointment though is that they got the color wrong with Snake Eyes. I mean, on the back, you know, if you look at it, the file card shows the dark blue version of it, and what's this bright teal color? I don't get it. You know?
That's intentional.
Yeah, that's on purpose. That is an homage to his release in India. That's why it's Secret Service as his specialty.
Gotcha. Well, at least he gets the
one, right, Mike?
That's how it was listed on Fun School's release. That's why he's got
at least he gets the AK-47, which I think is pretty cool. So,
that is
India.
That is a Fun School nod, and that is a Target exclusive.
And I had to get the Game Master drone. I thought that was pretty cool. So
there it is. Yeah,
very nice.
I like that they do stuff like that. I like that they've made that deep pull already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, see, the only thing I've seen in person is the Duke and the Snake Eyes, and I actually considered both of them. But again, yeah, that $17.95 price point for the 5 points of articulation was just again, the bridge too far for me. I just couldn't. If I had extra crazy spending money, addicted, I would pick them up. But
I was having kind of a mental breakdown when I went into a Target and they had all of them. Like they had just dumped a case, and I'm like, yeah, I gotta get all these. And like I had them all in my hand, and I'm looking like $17.99 each. Oh, okay, Lady J, you're going back, and I don't know if I need that one and that one. So I was just like, I kind of picked and chose a few of them. So
if I see the Quinn one, I might pick that one up.
That one I want. Yeah, definitely with the Quinn.
You got to pick that one up for Jason. Hey, Mike, I got to say, like, you articulated it perfectly that the reaction figures are for reaction fans, not Joe fans. Like, even their Universal Monster figures are very, very reaction. They're not more universal monsters.
Yeah, I mean, most everything they've done has been done better by somebody else, right?
Right.
I mean, sure, it's nice that reaction lends itself to properties that wouldn't ordinarily get action figures. You're not gonna we're not comparing reaction figures to anybody else's Back to the Future line, right?
Right.
But there it is for it. And if you like reaction stuff, if you're just into that whole aesthetic, if you just want, hey, this reminds me of what toys were like when I was a kid, great, knock yourself out, enjoy them. If I were more of a mint on card guy, I'd probably be more into them too. But I'm not that either. So
right.
Oh yeah, I mean, if that shit came out in '85, I'd have gone hard for it then. I mean,
sure. Maybe because there were still Joes out there that had knees and elbows and stuff. Knees and elbows are what got me to take Star Wars and just move it on over to the side and just done. Just
move out. Over, Luke.
Get on.
Right on. And then the only other thing that they talked about as far as product wise is from Renegade Studios. They have a G.I. Joe Mission Critical. And I because again, I was working as this was going on. Is this a card game or is it a tabletop game?
I believe that is a specific card game.
Okay. I thought it was a card game, but then they had miniatures for it.
The miniatures are for the tabletop game, which is also if you pre-order the tabletop game before the 8th of March, you're going to be considered part of the first wave when it ships out at the end of the March.
Oh, okay.
So that they were getting some words into for the tabletop game, but the critical I forget, it's just leaked out my ear. I'm sorry. It was a long day. The critical mission thing was a specific card game.
Okay. And like I said, I was working with this going on, so I caught part of it, and I thought they said it was a card game because I know they just released one. Mm-hmm. I had it pre-ordered through Big Bad Toy Store, but when it came time to get it, I didn't have the money, so I canceled it. That, and I don't have any friends locally here that into G.I. Joe, so I'd have the cards just sitting here for me to play with. But yeah, then I looked away to do some work, and I looked back, and they still had the Mission Critical, but they were talking about the little unpainted minis or whatever, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, those are for the tabletop game.
Okay. But yeah,
see, Mike knows this shit.
Yeah. Well, especially if it helps you pay attention, But yeah, thank you very much.
All this stuff
on that, Mike. And I know they had the Q&A session. I caught a little bit of that, but I was busy working. Chad, was there anything interesting from? Well, actually, I'm back up a second. Sorry about that. The Renegade card game. Kevin, do you have any thoughts on the interest in a G.I. Joe Magic the Gathering type card game?
I would have to see them first, I think. I'd be more interested not really playing the game, but the cards themselves. I'm a big fan of trading cards. I used to work for a company that made collectible card games. And so I would like to go through it first and see what it is. But it does pique my interest.
And Chad, what are your thoughts on the collectible card games for G.I. Joe?
I've never been a card game guy or a tabletop game guy. So like nothing like role-playing games or anything like that. No. I mean, I think it's cool because, they're expanding it to people who like that kind of stuff, and, they can keep, G.I. Joe solvent, but No bearing. I just think it's cool.
And Mike, your thoughts?
I know they got some good talent to do these cards, both in the regular game and in this mod. But it's not something that I can get into. It just becomes its own beast. It's another type of collection to get into, and as I'm trying to scale back on those, so I don't have a lot of interest in the card game itself, unfortunately. If somebody else had it, I would certainly learn how to play with them. But I'm more enthused about the tabletop game because I think that's just something that could be a lot of fun, regardless of the world. What we're doing here, online connection has made tabletop role playing much more of an option for a lot of people. So I think that's something that is going to have a bigger set of footprints.
And you were by the tabletop. You're referring to the role playing.
Correct.
Yeah, I've actually pre-ordered that from Renegade Studios. So it's supposed to be out the end of March. But since I pre-ordered, I'm getting the PDF like the middle of March. So
15th.
Yeah, so I'm definitely. As far as the card game, I played Magic for quite a while. I played another card game called Lunch Money, a couple of others here and there. If I had friends. I don't know. If I had friends in the area that like G.I. Joe, I would probably be more interested in getting it. But yeah.
Is this where you cue in the StreamYard sad music?
Well, I'll do it later. I'll go in and I'll add in
the night. Play the night driving music.
Yeah, I'll play the Hulk, the Lonely Man ending of the Incredible Hulk TV show. That's on my one of my other podcasts to do with my wife, the Voyagers cast. I was remembering which it was. A Voyagers cast. We're talking about the TV show Voyagers from 1982, 83.
Mm-hmm.
And we just recorded episode 10 talking about where they met Charles Lindbergh. And that led into the kidnapping of the Lindbergh baby. And she was like, was that the same person? Well, yeah, that's just, like 5 years later that happened. And fell down that rabbit hole for a few minutes and talking about how, they found the baby, We'll get into that here. But as I'm editing that, I threw the Lonely Man ending of the whole show in the background as we're talking about. I was like, you're bad.
Meandering. Just
yeah.
slowly down the road, thumb out, waiting to get in a ride.
Yeah. But yeah, so no, I did pick up the role-playing game because someone I met on Facebook actually is going to be starting a session of that here at some point. So, and I'd already thought about buying it anyways, just because it's G.I. Joe and it's role-playing. I like role-playing games. I play D&D usually every Saturday with my son and some of his friends.
Excellent.
I've played Heroes Unlimited.
We did an episode with the one of the co-writers. If you're going to go back, What's on Joe Mind 183.
Very nice.
It's been one that a lot of the fans of the game keep going back and referencing.
Oh.
So yeah, check that one out.
183. I'll have to check that out.
A couple months ago.
Right on. I'll have to look for that one. I don't get here recently. I haven't really listened to any podcasts, just not enough time, but I'll have to make some time for that one. But yeah, so I am definitely into, like I say, role-playing games. I've been in them for years. So I definitely had to pick that up. So, and then as I was going to say earlier, before I backed out, the Q&A session. Chad, you said you're taking notes. Anything of importance from the Q&A session that you want to bring up?
So someone asked a question of would we see newer characters from the comics come into the line? And I assume they're talking classified because that seems to be Hasbro Joe Team's big push these days is 1/12 scale. And Lenny did say, that you were going to see a lot more of the newer comic characters in classified form. And then someone asked about accessory packs, like weapons packs or whatever kind of accessory packs. They said they'd like to offer it. Then they had the normal discussions, pre-order lead times, what's going on with that, why is that a thing, and kind of goes along with what Mike was saying, plan for the worst, hope for the best kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And it also sort of coincides with what happened with Crocmaster, because Crocmaster kept quietly getting pushed back and back and back, and now Crocmaster's looking at like September. Then there was the thing about the file cards, but we already talked about that, about the whole 5 language to 1 language. And then they spent a couple minutes discussing the Retro Baroness that showed up at that store, the Retro Classified Baroness in Washington State.
Mm-hmm.
And someone who was watching asked if that was real or was that fake. And Emily said it was real, and it just accidentally got put on the shelf early. And then that's when they held up all the classified retro figures on their cards and said, you know, take a look at them. And then the last thing they talked about was other subgroups. Right? So we spent a good deal of time talking about subgroups, and someone asked, would we see other subgroups coming? And I was waiting for somebody to say Night Force, but they just said other subgroups will come, and that they will be retailer specific lines. They didn't say Target, but they said it's going to be like Python Patrol and Tiger Force, where they will be retailer specific.
Right.
That was it.
I mean, Target probably hasn't put the money out for it yet, so they can't say it'll be in the Target line. They can't put the
as long as I get I want a low light. I don't care what he looks like. I just want a low light. Low light's my dude.
Get neon.
That's a good figure. Yeah.
Neon Force low light.
Damn it.
Be version 2 low light with a pink beard.
I'm waiting on Shipwreck. I see
Well,
Kevin.
If you remember when they first started releasing Classified, they had all of those. Mike, I know you remember, but they had all of those images of, you know, they showed Sci-Fi and Shipwreck and a bunch of characters, and then they just kind of. But that's when they also had the Storm Shadow with that Bane-looking mask and the Batman gauntlets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he's they're all still up on GIJoe.com. There's a lot of a lot of characters that have had nothing to do with any sort of figure for some years, and there's some other characters that have had classified figures for a while now and still aren't listed on GIJoe.com. So I really think GIJoe.com is just kind of there to hold a place, and it's being maintained once every 6 months by somebody's intern who doesn't have any frame of reference. I don't want to say clue because that makes it sound like they're dumb. I can't be mad at some kid who just didn't grow up with G.I. Joe because it's not their fault that they weren't putting it out there in the mainstream for however long. And
I don't mean anything bad by what I said. They don't have a clue. That's what I mean. Is they didn't grow up with it. They don't. It's not.
Sure.
Their thing.
Sure.
Well, and it's also a daunting task. So I will give Emily from the G.I. Joe team, I will give her credit. She is very open that she knew nothing about G.I. Joe and that she had to learn. And so she really had to drink from a fire hose because you're like the lead on this brand where you have all of these lifelong, diehard, fanatic people really wanting your product. And like, you take the brunt of people's, their ire, their anger, their frustrations, and like, you don't even know. Like, you could say, oh, who's Anthony Gambello? And she's like, I don't know, I'm new, and she can't tell you. That's Flash. So it's a hard position to be in.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and fandom can be very toxic. I mean, you can see, Star Wars, G.I. Joe. I've seen it on Quantum Leap. Almost any fandom has your toxic gatekeepers, oh, well, you don't like this and this, you're not a real fan. Yeah. No, that's not, so.
Screw those
Kevin
guys.
Doesn't,
yeah.
You don't like Transformer G.I. Joe crossovers, you're not a real fan.
Yeah, so I'm like, as long as, I don't like those kind of people. In fact, I called one out the other day because they were like, well, if you don't like, I forget, I mean, it was a reaction or something they're talking about. I'm like, well, if you don't like these are for the real true fans or true collectors. Well, no, you're stupid. Yeah. Whether you like one aspect of it or, whichever aspect you may like, you may just like the G.I. Joe Extreme. God help us all. Even if you just like the G.I. Joe Extreme, you're still a G.I. Joe fan.
Right.
I may only like He-Man in space.
You're still a He-Man fan. Yeah, I don't begrudge anyone their fandom.
I'm a fatal fluffy apologist. Sorry.
We know. And for what it is,
Cold Slither guy.
oh
Yes, I am.
love Cold Slither. Well, I say, yeah, the cartoon has some goofy moments, but that's part of our childhood, and you gotta love it. I mean, But Chad, do you have other thoughts on anything that was brought up today that they talked about on the con, or anything we've talked about today?
I think it's good that they're really leaning back into GI Joe. I know that Hasbro, we talked about this on that last Bravo team where GI Joe's worst enemy is Hasbro, right? Like Hasbro killed Joe, they killed Joe Con, they killed the FSS line. They like to kill GI Joe. I'm glad that they're kind of, it's like that old best friend. They're kind of getting reacquainted with GI Joe, and it's good because it's their property. Like they own it 100%. It saved their company. I have to say, like, I'm going to self-identify. I'm not the biggest fan of classified, like really at all. I'm not a 1/12 scale person. I got into classified by default, sort of on accident, and I'm trying to stick with it. I'm trying to warm up to it. I just have them, and half of them I've customized because I didn't like the gold armor and the weird, hair straightener guns. I don't know if I'm going to stick with it. I really don't. I think it's awesome. Like I see these renders and I see these figures and I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Right on. Because I'm all about like the people who love them. I think that's great. That's great for you. Like if it's your thing, like go hard in the paint for it. I just, I'm waiting to either get all in or just give them all away. So I'm almost in like a weird limbo. I think it's cool. I keep up with it, just like I keep up with the characters they come out with for reaction line because it's GI Joe and I love GI Joe and I like to be knowledgeable. But I don't know. I mean, shit though. Those Tomax and Zaymot, they look perfect. and Dr. Mindbender. I looked at it and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm going to buy that figure.
Chad's like, I'm growing a mustache. That's it. I'm in.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm in the military, so I have to, but when I get a chance, it comes out.
There you go.
The inner Dr. Mindbender comes out.
Yeah, and I'm kind of like you. I'm like, well, I'm not going to get the classify. They're not bad, but yeah, a little pricey for what they are. And here I've got over half of them now. So, and I see I'm excited about this Dr. Mindbender. I'm excited about the twins. So, yeah, I don't buy everything, but I buy more than I probably should.
Yeah, I've never been I'm not a completionist. I don't have to own everything. I see stuff that like, I had fond memories of as a kid, so I want it. I want to be able to touch it and manipulate it and put my hands on it again. And I love the feeling that it brings me. But it's just such a struggle, like a duality. At one point, I'm like, I think I'm just going to give all these classified figures away. They're all in my office at work because this room is it's just packed full of 118. I can't mix the two scales. It'll drive me nuts. And then I turn around and I buy 7 bats like that. I can't really differentiate.
If you give those away, I'll send you my address.
Mike beat me too. I was going to say, if you want to get rid of them, let me know. I'll send you my address. You can send them my way.
There is
especially the bats.
Send me your addresses and see what I freaking send you in the mail. Like one thing I'm known for is I just send people shit. I will send you some stuff.
I'm afraid of that statement being literal.
Yeah, really. Who knows what's going to arrive in the mail?
What's that? The plastic.
No, nothing out of my cat's litter box, Mike. But yeah, send me your address. Yeah.
Mike, while you're talking, want to keep talking? Any other thoughts on anything else we've covered today? Or
what I want to give props to the GI Joe team, especially to Emily and to Lenny. you watch any of these other live streams and like, I don't want to say that they don't enjoy their jobs as much, but they certainly don't come across like they do. I think these are two folks that we are really lucky to have on the brand right now. I think they enjoy what they're doing. I think they enjoy working with one another. I think they really get into what they're putting out there for us, and I think it shows. I really like just from a pure watching a live stream standpoint, because I'll pop in on the other ones for the properties that I don't care as much about. I might not watch the whole thing, but I just again, like Chad said, just to be informed, just to you say, hey, what's going on with Marvel? What's going on with Transformers?
Right.
And so much of it just seems real rote. Even if they're like, nobody's that relaxed, nobody's that into it. You know, it's just you get the feeling from almost every team that it's just a job. And I think we're lucky that we have Emily and Lenny to where it's not just a job. I think they really enjoy what they're doing, and they really enjoy what they're sending out to us. And my eternal props to the two of them and everybody else on their team.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Kevin, final thoughts?
I'm just happy that G.I. Joe is relevant again in the toy aisles. And whether you like it all or not, you don't have to. I have had to remind myself, though, that the completionist inside of me, I've been battling for the last 15 years. I've had to just let go, like, Indiana Jones' dad said to Indy there in The Last Crusade, just let it go, let it go. And I was reminded of that today, right after I got off work, a couple hours before I came on the show. Went by Target to get some shelving units. Had to stop by the toy section, and there I saw 2 bats and 2 alley vipers. Going, those are pretty cool. I had one of each in my cart, and then I was just like, yeah, I can't do it. I got to be picky, and there's some that are coming out that I'm definitely going to get, and there's others I'm not. I'm just going to buy the ones I want, and the twins I want. Other ones.
You needed to be picking those up for your friend you hadn't met yet, Mike.
Mike, do you not have those yet?
I do not. We actually gave away a set. Kokomo
That's right,
Toys,
you did.
Kokomo Toys sent us an alley viper and a bat. We gave it away because we are magnanimous fools. And I had them in my hands and I sent them out.
Oh,
I have not seen a single one. Central Indiana is a wasteland of distribution. Like, we are still swimming in. I am hooking all kinds of folks up with movie figures that didn't get them, because that's what I'm sitting on. Like, there's parts of the country that didn't see those at all.
Yeah.
So I can at least help people out with Akiko and Scarlet and Storm Shadow, but yeah, no, the alley vipers and bats I have not seen hide nor hair of them, not a single one.
Kevin, I'm totally not trying to railroad what you were saying, man. So
yeah, my bad, Kevin. I didn't mean to jump all over.
No, I hear you. It's funny too, because when classifieds were starting to hit, I felt like I had to get all of them, and I had friends of mine in Florida saying, "Kevin, do you have this one?" I'm like, "No," and then I have them now. Going, do I really want to keep this one? And then you see like a whole box dropping on an aisle, and you're like, okay, But I'm just glad that G.I. Joe is relevant again. I just hope that they fix the movie side of it sometime in the future. So,
amen. So I wish here. I'm in Central California. I'm near Fresno, California, and I'm much like Mike. I don't see. I see a lot of the Snake Eyes origin figures out, but very seldom. I haven't seen any of the bats or the alley vipers yet. I see very seldom. I finally more recently saw Flint and Lady J. I finally, in fact, here right before Christmas, me and the wife was at Target, and I had picked up a Transformer. I forget which one. I think maybe Jazz and Lady J, because I found Lady J. And then I'm looking, and somewhere on the shelf I found. I'll get out right now. Breaker, and the Ram. So okay, the Transformers goes back. Lady J goes to me. I've got to get the. because you don't see them very often. So
yeah, like we did okay with the Ram around here, but some other stuff just absolutely ghosted, and I don't understand how any of that works. Look, I used to work for Target. I used to work in the back room of a Target. I have no idea how any of this stuff works.
same here.
None.
I live in the middle of nowhere, right? There's just the military installation I live on, and the town is like 15 miles east. There's one Walmart. Every week, 3 times a week, go to Walmart, go to the toy aisle, nothing. Go to Walmart, go to the toy aisle, nothing. Wash, rinse, repeat for years. I went to Walmart 2 weeks ago. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to go straight to the toy department. I'll make my way there later. I'm walking around. I'm doing all my stuff. I finally get to the action figure aisle. As soon as I turned down the aisle, I saw that battle android trooper on the end of the peg. And I must have leapt the 8 feet to that peg. And I just started yanking them all. And I was like, my heart rate was going. And I'm looking around, like making sure nobody's going to get, these are mine. Get the fuck, right? And I just like took them all.
He's kicking people that aren't there. Just
there's nobody else in the aisle, but I'm like, I'm expecting somebody to like,
away. Come on, get away from me, you little bastard.
And so I'm like, I'm having a moment. There's nobody else in the toy department, and I threw them on a cart, and I looked around, and I just like, hell yeah, Walmart! Like, and that's gonna be like my one win forever. I have never seen any GI Joes in that Walmart. Never. Not a retro stalker, nothing. And I saw 3 bats and 2 alley vipers, and I just taking them all.
Did you trample over a Hot Wheels collector? Please say yes.
No, there was nobody else there. Just like the aisle was like vacant. But just put that case out. He must have just put it out. The only thing that was left swinging was the gung ho. Like I took everything. And then I felt bad because I took them all, right? Because I'm kind of one of those leave somebody for somebody else. And so I grappled with that. Yeah, and I put one of each back. But still, that's my one win at that Walmart. Not even a retro Hiss tank. And they're like everywhere.
Yeah.
They never got anything in this store. Just like that, that shitty Snake Eyes movie sword. But yeah, Mike, you want me to send you? I'll send you one each, man.
Oh man! All right,
I got you.
Get you set up. All right.
Sadly, the retro stalker is a peg warmer at my local Walmart. There's like half a dozen of them just hanging there waiting for some. I've gotten 2 of them, so.
So, I went a little crazy on the retro stalker and trooper and the grunt and the officer. The very last 2 waves. So Walmart.com put the stalker and trooper wave on sale for $5 each, but you could only get a max of 5 for each order. I must have placed like 15 orders. Like I have like between those 4 figures, I probably have like 200 of them sitting in a closet.
Jesus.
Like I went nuts for those. And the Hiss tanks, the black one and the blue one, I went. If it's 4-inch, I'm going to eat it up.
Yes, I got one of each. If I had more money, I would have got some more of the Hiss tanks. In fact, the Hiss tanks were still the Hiss tank was Hiss tank 3, is what it's labeled as. Those were on the shelf for a while. Yeah, those were a few things that were on the shelf besides the Snake Eyes origin figures.
The figures?
Yeah, the Snake Eyes classified, and then also the regular.
No, the retro 4-inch. Did you get those figures?
The stalker and officer and trooper and somebody. Yes, I was finally able to find. I ordered a couple of them off Walmart.com's website. But I paid full price. If I didn't, I didn't see them for the $5. But well, unless you guys have anything else to say on this, I guess we're going to call it here. I know Mr. Raider Nerd's got some Raider nerding to do, so thank you very much.
Rating.
Thank you very much for joining us. I want to thank all 3 of you guys for joining me here today. Mike, has been a pleasure talking to you, sir.
Absolutely wonderful to meet all you guys. Absolutely.
Good to meet you, Mike.
Let's do this again.
Yes.
And you can watch us every Friday night on What's on Joe Mind over on our YouTube channel or our Facebook page, whatever.
There you go. Check that out, guys. Until next time, knowing is half the battle. Yo, Joe.
Yo, Joe.
Yo, Joe.
Can I get Yo, Joe from you, Kevin?
Yo, Joe.
Hey, sir.
There you go.
Did you have time to stick around, Mike, and talk a little bit more? Are you busy this evening, or?
I do have to do a little bit of production work, but I got a little time.
Well, I was thinking if you guys want, because I want to do a Bravo team on the toys in general, not just the stuff they talked about today, but everything. I know Kevin has to run, but
I got to take off, guys. It was good to see you again, Chad. Mike, great.
Yeah,
to
you
meet
too,
man.
Kevin.
Take care, Kevin.
So
I'll see you
Sunday,
guys.
you're on for Sunday, Kevin?
Yes.
All right, we'll see you then, man. Thanks.
All right. See ya.
Have a good one, buddy.
Later, Kevin.
But yeah, if you guys have some time, I figure, we talk about the classified and the retro toys in general. Everything that's been released in the last couple of years. Just a brief little.
What kind of a time window are you trying to squeeze this in?
Whatever you guys good for you guys. I don't want to keep you all night. I mean,
Okay, because I
if you'd rather do another time, we can do it some other time. I just thought I had everybody here.
another time might be better, just because I don't want to stopwatch on you. So
No, that's fine.
I do have to get some stuff prepared for
Yes.
my own program tomorrow.
Oh,
because I
definitely.
gotta work all day. So yeah, I don't want to be the guy getting you halfway there and then at like 10:15